been somewhat righted if you can go back to the Angels series back in August. The ship has definitely been righted a bit, and the team has started to play more like the team that we saw in the first half of the 2019 season. And the question becomes, will they be able to continue playing solid baseball? I mean, obviously this month they started it off with finishing the sweep against the Rockies, losing the series to the Marlins, and winning Game 1 to the Cardinals. Now they've got the Cardinals the next 2 games on their schedule, and then they go on a bit of a road trip. We'll see how that all pans out for them. But again, if they do play well here in September, they played very well last September, it gave everybody hope for 2019. Obviously, 2019 has not panned out the way that I've wanted to pan out, that the players have wanted it to pan out, that management has wanted it to pan out, that really anybody has wanted this 2019 season to pan out if you want the Pirates to succeed. Obviously, if you don't, then you probably wouldn't be listening to this. But the overall theme of what I'm trying to say here is that a successful September. I mean, the Pirates have only had one winning month in the 2019 season. That came back in May when they were 15-14. If the Pirates can have, a modestly good month. Let's say they finish, 5 games over 500 for the month. Currently, where they're sitting right now is 3-2 for the month, so they are having a winning month right now, but granted, we are only 5 games in to the month of September. There are 20 games left. What are the Pirates going to do with those 20 games? I think if they can finish a 17-8, even 16-9, 15-10, I would be happy. I would be content with a 15-10 month. If the Pirates can do that, have a 15-10 month, Mitch Keller doesn't miss a start. They give starts to James Marvel. We continue to see the rebound of Trevor Williams, Joe Musgrove success. Steven Brault continues his excellent campaign. Brian Reynolds wins rookie the batting title and hopefully Rookie of the Year. Josh Bell gets to 40 home runs. Maybe you push Marte to 30 and 100 if you get his average up to 300. Kevin Newman continues to do what he's been doing. There are still a lot of good things that could happen in these final 20 games. I wouldn't say a lot at stake, obviously, standings-wise, but for a lot of personal numbers, and, these final 20 games still do matter. Granted that they don't matter standings-wise, technically we are still in the hunt for the NL Central and the wild card. However, we know that realistically we are not. So the question then becomes for us fans, why do we watch? And I just listed off a multitude of reasons why you still continue to watch and support your team. Obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably are, a better Pirate fan than the average, fan. It's a shame to see the way the 2019 season has panned out with such high hopes. I mean, throughout the first half, it was all there. We all thought, at least I thought, that this team could do something special. We broke it down for you right around the All-Star break, how we discussed, if this Pirates team stayed on pace from what they did in the first half, they were going to make the playoffs. Pirates had a relatively easy schedule in the second half. They just could not capitalize on that easy schedule. If they stayed on pace and added just a few more wins here and there, they would have made the playoffs this season. However, the second half collapse clearly occurred, and when you have a stretch of baseball like the Pirates did following the All-Star break, no team could ever recover from that, no matter how hot they get. Just simply dug ourselves far too big of a hole, and again, this team is much better than their record indicates. This team is young, and they went through some struggles, but they are much better than they indicate, and they deserve a chance to go out there and run it back in 2020. Because this team has some exciting young talent on this roster. Exciting talent in general. Injuries for sure have decimated this 2019 Pirates team. There's no question about that. That should not give credence to any sort of rebuild this offseason. We need to let this team run it back in 2020 and see what they've got. I could definitely be wrong. I mean, I've been wrong in the past, and you all know that. However, this team deserves a chance to see what they can do in 2020. They do. And I really hope they are given that opportunity. The Pittsburgh Pirates made a change to their plans for Friday night starting pitcher. On Thursday, the Pittsburgh Pirates added right-handed pitcher Alex McRae to their active roster as part of their September call-ups. Now, due to injury, McRae will make his second MLB start of the season, and of his career, he did make it on Friday night. Originally, Joe Musgrove was scheduled to start on Friday night. However, this is no longer the case. Due to foot discomfort, Musgrove was scratched for McRae. Musgrove has pitched 154 and a third innings this season in 29 games, 28 of which have been starts. All of these are new career highs for Musgrove. In these last 154 and a third innings of work, Musgrove owns a 5.4% walk rate, 20.8% strikeout rate, a 4.67 ERA, and a 4.04 FIP. As his new career best 2.7 F4 indicates, Musgrove has pitched better than his ERA would indicate this season. As for McRae, he has made one start for the Pirates this season prior to last night and has pitched in a total of 6 games. McRae has pitched 15 and a third innings in these 6 outings and has struggled. McRae has allowed 22 hits, 6 home runs. He's walked 9 batters and he hit a pair of batters in his 15 and a third innings of work. This has led him owning a 9.98 ERA and an 8.50 FIP heading into last night for the Pirates. McRae has also struggled at AAA this season, where he posted a 5.20 ERA and a 5.39 FIP in 114 and a third innings pitched in his 22 starts. Hopefully, Musgrove will miss just this one start. Musgrove will be a big part of the Pirates starting rotation in 2020 and beyond. So, it would be great to see Musgrove have the opportunity to make 2 or 3 more strong starts before the end of the 2019 season. It would be. And McRae did not pitch bad last night, as I mentioned previously in our previous segment. That, heading into the third inning, it was fairly easy to imagine a disaster scenario for the Pirates when McRae was leaving pitch after pitch after pitch right in the middle of the strike zone, but it only cost him the 2 runs, coming off of the Tommy Edman line drive home run over the Clemente wall. But he settled down. He gave the Pirates 5 solid innings of work, 2-run ball, and his first 5-inning outing as a major leaguer in his second major league start. McRae clearly doesn't have a future with this Pittsburgh Pirates team. However, he did pitch well, and kudos to him for making that spot start in place of Joe Musgrove last night on Friday night. Joe Musgrove's, and this is the interesting case with him. People look at the ERA and they say, okay, this is what defines a pitcher. But there's much more than just the ERA. If you look at FIP, it's a much more indicative stat. You look at F4, Joe Musgrove putting up career best in F4. As that suggests, he has pitched much better than his ERA, would say. You look at a 4.67 ERA and you say, okay, this is a poor pitcher. But you take a look at some other stats and you say, okay, this is a good pitcher from Joe Musgrove. It'd be very nice to see him just miss the 1 start last night, make 2 or 3 strong starts to finish out 2019, and head into 2020 on a high note. Again, we talked about this with Mitch Keller. If this Pirates team is going to succeed in 2020, if they're going to compete and potentially make the playoffs in 2020, a lot of that reason is going to be because of Joe Musgrove pitching well out of the 2020 Pirates starting rotation. If he can do that, then this team could have a successful season, because we've seen the good Joe Musgrove. We have seen it. But we've also seen the god-awful Joe Musgrove at the same token. See, the big thing with him, and this is similar to Adam Frazier. Like Adam Frazier, he'll be super hot for, a month, a couple weeks at a time, then super cold. Right? But we need to find consistency with Adam Frazier. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's the same thing with Joe Musgrove, but he'll go on a stretch of really, really good starts and then have a clunker. And like a really bad clunker. Not your, 5 runs over 5 innings, but like your 8 runs over 2 1/3 innings. Joe Musgrove needs to avoid those starts moving forward. And if he can do that, then he can be a top-of-the-line starting pitcher. He really can be, and he has proven that time and time again. Joe Musgrove in 2019 has had some of the best starts for this Pirates pitching staff. But at the same time, he's also had some of the worst starts for this pitching staff. He has the potential to be an ace. He has ace-level stuff. He does. And he can, yes, he is a young guy too. And that's the thing that we have to realize. He is learning how to be a starting pitcher. It's his second full season as a starting pitcher in the major leagues. And he has pitched relatively well. Again, his ERA is not a solid indicator of what Joe Musgrove is capable of, nor what Joe Musgrove has done in 2019. You see, statistics are just a record of events. They say what has happened, and the statistics are not perfect. Certainly, there are some statistics that matter and that all players have. As we mentioned with Dario Aggarsal's strikeout rate, 10%. That's not going to float at the major league level. But ERA is not a true indicator, nor at times it can be a good indicator, but it's not a true indicator of Joe Musgrove's talent, of Joe Musgrove's ability, of his stuff. A lot of it is the eye test, and the eye test, for the most part, Joe Musgrove has passed. He really has. We saw in the month of April how well Joe Musgrove pitched. We saw in the month of April how well this entire pitching staff pitched. And so it's been sort of confusing as to what has happened. What has happened to the 2019 Pirates pitching staff? Yes, a lot of it. And I'm not going to lie. A lot of it has been the injuries. Every single pitcher that was slotted into the rotation on opening day has spent significant time on the injury list at points in 2019. If you look at this pitching staff in the month of April, if you include the couple games in March as well, they were very, very good. Objectively speaking. We take a look at the team ERA. It was 3.622. I believe if you just include April, it might go lower from that as well. This was a good pitching staff. It was 3.69, and if, let's say you take from March 28th on opening day, and, where the pitching staff really started to go awry was in that Diamondback series back in April. So you take it up to the Giants series on April the 21st. So from March 28th to April the 21st, about a month sample size, give or take, the team ERA was 2.59. 2.59. Okay? And we take a look at what some guys did in their work. 26 innings from Jameson Town, and he was hurt. 3.11 ERA. 24 innings from Trevor Williams, 2.58 ERA. 23 innings from Chris Archer, 2.73 ERA. 22 innings from Joe Musgrove, a 1.20 ERA. That's what Joe Musgrove can be. And we still forget that in that month, Richard Rodriguez struggled mightily, a 4.50 ERA. Keone Kela mightily, 7.04 ERA. Stephen Brault, a 9.64 ERA. Guys struggled too, and the team was able to still put up a 2.59 ERA with Joe Musgrove 1.20. That's what this rotation can be. It can be that. It can be Trevor Williams having a 2.58 ERA. Chris Archer 2.73. Joe Musgrove with a sub-3 ERA as well. It can be the Stephen Brault that we have seen for a long time at this point. It can be that. And we take a look at what Stephen Brault has really done for this Pirates team ever since we go back to the Dodgers series. Is really where his season turned around back in April. Pitched fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. We take a look at Stephen Brault's numbers over that time period. He has a 3.36 ERA in 88 and a third innings. Take a look at some other guys in that time span. Joe Musgrove, a 5.50 ERA. Chris Archer, 5.67. Trevor Williams, 6.10. Dario Aggarsal, 4.93. Francisco Liriano, 4.11. Richard Rodriguez, 4.10. Kyle Crick, 4.81. Guys have struggled, but Stephen Brault has been a consistent, dominant force since April the 26th. He has definitely cemented himself a spot in the 2020 rotation. And as I said, harping back to the Joe Musgrove just to wrap up the segment here. he's going to play a big role in the 20.